Polynomial division using synthetic division. Synthetic division is actually a pretty zippy way to do long polynomial division. Unfortunately, it only works under certain circumstances. Take a look at your divisor, so that would be our x minus 2. First of all, that needs to be a binomial, so it can only have two terms in it like I have, x minus 2. Second of all, the x term can only have a power of 1. It couldn't be an x squared or an x cubed or anything like that. And third of all, the coefficient can't be anything other than a 1. So it always has to be 1x plus or minus something. So, however, when you do have these kinds of problems, they're pretty fast to divide using synthetic division. So first thing we do to get started, we write our division symbol. And our divisor, x minus 2, the only part of it that we're going to write down is the constant term. Our constant term is a minus 2, and for synthetic division we write it with the opposite sign. So instead of writing minus 2, we write a 2. Now underneath our division symbol, we're not going to write everything. We're only going to write coefficients. So notice here's what we're dividing by: x to the fourth minus 3x cubed minus 4x squared plus 10. All we're going to write down under our division symbol are the coefficients. It's really important to make sure that your powers are written in descending order, and indeed they are. We have 4, then 3, then 2. So we start by writing the coefficient of the first term, so that would be 1x to the fourth, so a 1, and then minus 3x cubed, so we only write down the coefficient, minus 4x squared, so again only the coefficient. Now we're missing a term. We're missing our x to the first term, so we have to put a placeholder in there, otherwise things get out of whack. And then the last thing that we write down is our constant term. Now draw another line and leave yourself some space, because we're going to write some numbers in there. And now we're ready to get into our actual division. And our actual division starts with bringing down the first number. And then we take that first number and we multiply it by our 2. So 1 times 2 is 2, and I'm going to write that down under the next number in line. And then I'm going to add those numbers together. So as I go along, I'm always going to add vertically. Negative 3 plus 2 is a negative 1. Now I multiply. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. And then I add. Negative 4 plus negative 2 is negative 6. And then I multiply. Negative 6 times 2 is a negative 12. And then I add. 0 plus a negative 12 is negative 12. And then I multiply. Negative 12 times 2 is a negative 24. And then I add negative 14. This, believe it or not, represents our answer. But now we have to write our answer as we are used to seeing an answer. So here's how we decipher our answer so that we can write it properly. First of all, the very last number that you wrote down, that is the remainder. And then moving to the number next to it, the minus 12, that's going to be your constant term. And then we start with our x terms, so we're going to go up in power, so x to the first, this is going to be our x squared, and this is going to be our x cubed term. So now let's write it as a regular polynomial. We have 1x cubed, so we can just write that as x cubed, minus 1x squared, we just write that as minus x squared, minus 6x, minus 12, and now we do have a remainder, so we're going to write that in fractional form, so minus 14 over our original divisor, which was x minus 2. And that is your answer.